I love 500 Days of Summer, like an insane amount. It's the only movie I've seen that actually feels like real life in the sense that it doesn't end happy. And let's be real here, most things in life don't end happy. But despite it doing a lot of things right, it's not perfect, but I can never figure out why. I've watched it at least 5 times a year since I discovered it in 2010, so I'd like to think I'm a bit of an expert on the subject. So shockingly, I decided to rewatch it, only this time I tried to look at it as objectively as possible, and I think I found the problem. And that problem is summer. Not the season, but the love interest and the reason for the movie title. If you haven't seen 500 Days of Summer, you really should. First off, it's amazing. Second, this video will make a lot more sense if you do. But if you don't feel like investing an hour and a half into watching the film, I'll explain it quickly. 500 Days of Summer is a story of boy meets girl, but it's not a love story. It goes through 500 days of the main character, Tom, falling in and out of love with Summer. During the movie, they meet, get together, have a romantic thing, not a relationship but a thing, and break up. And don't worry, because I'm not spoiling anything. The entire movie is out of sequence. But let's get back to the Summer problem. I've always had a feeling that something was off with Summer, but I never knew what. I just assumed it was because she broke Tom's heart. But that doesn't explain why she's the worst part of the movie. I mean, the villain, or whatever you want to call her, can be the best part of a movie. See Goodfellas or The Incredibles. I think the reason she's the worst part, and arguably the only bad part of 500 Days of Summer, isn't because she breaks up with Tom. It's because she's boring and doesn't make sense as a love interest. I don't know why Tom likes her so much. She's a personality-less, monotone, unresponsive stick with blue clothes and front bangs. She's not defined by her morals or a set of traits. She's defined by the things she likes. For example, Ringo's her favorite Beatle and she really likes the Smiths.
I love the Smiths.
And contrary to popular belief, your interests don't make you interesting or define who you are. But thinking about it a little deeper, maybe this was all intentional. Maybe Summer is supposed to be stagnant and boring. I know it sounds stupid, but hear me out. May I remind you that I am the unofficial expert of this movie. The whole narrative is told through Tom's point of view, so the audience only experiences what Tom experiences. And because of this, I don't think we're seeing who Summer actually is. We're only seeing Summer as Tom sees her. Anytime Tom tries to explain why he likes her, it's always something superficial, mainly about her interests or her appearance. For example, he loves her smile, he loves her hair, he loves her knees, he loves this heart-shaped birthmark she has on her neck.
I love the way she sometimes licks her lips before she talks.
It gets creepy, so I'll move on, but you get it. I think she's less of a person to him and more of an object of affection. So since he only viewed her as a crumple of superficial traits, that's how we see her. Told you this would start to make sense. But how can Tom be so shallow? You think to yourself as you lay in bed eating chips out of the bag. That's right, I know what you're doing. Well, my astute viewer, great question. What we learn 1 minute and 22 seconds into the movie is that romantic comedies heavily influence Tom's belief on what a relationship is and what he should be looking for in the one.
This belief stemmed from early exposure to sad British pop music and a total misreading of the movie The Graduate.
And in these movies, female love interests generally aren't the most fleshed out characters. And that's a huge understatement. So to answer your question of how can Tom be so shallow, it's because romantic comedies never gave him a realistic idea of what traits his partner should have. Instead, they told him she should be pretty, around the same age as him, and have similar interests. And if you need proof of this because you doubt my 500 Days of Summer expertise, look at the segment right before the famous reality versus expectation scene, where all the characters describe their perfect woman.
As long as she's cute and she's willing, right? I'm flexible on the cute, so.
She's the light that guides me home. Yes, that is from one of our cards. No, someone else wrote it. Doesn't make it less true.
These guys all pinpoint exact traits they're looking for or like in their significant other, all boiling down to the idea that they want a real person.
Robin's better than the girl of my dreams. She's real.
However, Tom, high on the influence of romantic comedies, literally can't answer the question. He doesn't know what his perfect woman is because a perfect woman doesn't exist, and movies haven't let him in on that secret yet. So Tom latched onto Summer at the most superficial level because romantic comedies don't go any deeper than that for female characters. Summer, playing the love interest in the movie of Tom's life, is just a vessel to propel his life to the next stage, just like women in rom-coms are vessels to advance the plot. And since no one resembles people in films to a T, Tom is looking for anything in her to fit the mold of the quirky movie girl. Just like a 13-year-old girl who has a crush on Chris Pratt and will therefore pine after a guy in her school she barely talks to because this kid kinda looks like her celebrity crush. Another argument for why Summer is such a boring character is because of how Zooey Deschanel plays her with this constant glossed over look and unenthusiastic voice.
No, it's not. It's awesome. Trust me.
But the thing is, she's usually really good at playing her fun self. See her depiction of Jess in New Girl.
I break for birds. I rock a lot of polka dots. I have touched glitter in the last 24 hours.
She didn't seem like she was allowed to do that in 500 Days of Summer. She's basically like her character in The Happening, only less wide-eyed and surprised-sounding all the time.
They're evacuating New York City.
It's possible that the writing of Summer's character is to show how rom-coms influenced Tom in the movie world, but how she was acted is a reflection of how rom-coms subconsciously influenced the director Mark Webb in real life. Listen to how obsessed Webb is with Deschanel in the commentary track for the movie.
No, I love her hair. I love her hair in this. She always she looks so good here. I think Zoe looks really sexy here. I think she looks really, really good.
I agree, Mark.
Yeah. Sorry, Zoe.
Maybe Webb was so smitten with the rom-com idea that women just need to be pretty that he didn't give Deschanel good enough direction, and just believed that her looks would carry the image of a quirky and interesting character. Listen to this line reading from Deschanel.
And what brought you?
Boredom, mostly. Want to try something new and exciting.
Now listen to Webb's reaction to it.
She doesn't repeat herself. She doesn't plan out stuff.
She doesn't force anything.
Yeah. But you really feel like that was a legitimate answer to that question.
Right.
You know?
Do these two things sync up at all? I think not. Webb may not have been trying to drive home the theme of how wrong romantic comedies are, but he definitely did a good job at doing it just by being himself. Basically, what I'm saying with all this is that Summer is less of a character and more of a comment on how unrealistically romantic comedies portray relationships. Which is an important comment to make considering the large role that movies play in teaching some of us life lessons. And I'm looking at me. Maybe I'm wrong about Summer being the worst part of the film. Maybe Summer was such a one-dimensional character because the writers were trying to caution us about what happens when you rely too heavily on movies to teach you what a relationship is. Maybe her being so boring and underwhelming was a calculated choice to add to the lesson that movies aren't real, and just because someone likes the same bizarre crap that you do,
that doesn't make her your soulmate, Tom.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.